Well, we've been asking last week, and we're building up and asking this question of what is the greatest news ever? If today you wanted the greatest piece of news, what would it be? What are you waiting on? What do you need? What would be the greatest news to you? Lots of people would say, I'd love it if someone just said to me, here's $10 million. You've inherited $10 million, no strings attached. Wouldn't that be good news? I wonder what you would do with it if you were given $10 million. Would you pay off a debt? Maybe purchase your house outright? No mortgage? Maybe you'd invest it very cleverly so you never have to work a day in your life, and neither would your children. Perhaps you'd give it to friends and family so that they would feel released from their burdens. You could do a whole lot with $10 million. But all around the world and throughout history, countless people would smile at that and say, that's nothing compared to what I've received. They've discovered something far greater. News so good, so life-changing, that they've considered it worth more than millions of dollars, more than any comfort in the world, and even more important than life itself. They have found the greatest news ever. So what is it about the idea of $10 million that gets people buying those lotto tickets every single week? What is it that people want that seems so appealing in that $10 million offer? I think for many of us, it's because it might get us to a place that we really would like to be. A place that's full of freedom and security. We want to be able to just breathe for a bit. We want to get to a place where we don't need to worry about what's coming next, where we can feel absolutely secure. Imagine not needing a job to make ends meet, not having to impress the boss to make sure you get the raise or to have your contract renewed. No more filling out Centrelink forms, worrying about whether the answer will come back the way you need. No long nights up juggling the bills. Kids, young adults, no rewriting essays hundreds of times over till you get it just right to get that top grade so you can get into that course, so you can get that job, to earn that money so you can be set up for life. No stressful phone calls to the banks about interest rates. You could skip the hospital wait lists and go and pay for the finest medical care needed without even blinking an eye. Your kids could go to the very best schools without a debt hanging over your head. You'd never have to say no to an opportunity because of money ever again. You just get space. Space to breathe. Space to live, to create, space to rest, to be yourself without having to carry all the weight of obligations and expectations and the fears of being judged or perhaps left behind. A place where you know you are good enough. A place where you belong, and where that belonging isn't based on how well you perform or how hard you try or whether you can keep up. A place where you can just rest. A place of peace. Could it even be possible? To me, it sounds a little bit like Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. We're stuck in slavery. Jesus once said something that speaks directly to this longing for freedom and peace and security. In John 8, 34 to 36, we read these words. Very truly, I tell you, everyone who sins is a slave to sin. Now, a slave has no permanent place in the family, but a son belongs to it forever. So if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. Now, most of us today might hear those words and we might think, well, I'm not really a slave. I have freedom. We are lucky to live in a country like Australia. I get to make my own choices. But it was precisely this kind of thinking that Jesus was challenging when he spoke these words. Here's the context. Jesus was teaching in the temple courts, and he just claimed to be the light of the world. He told the crowd that he would die for their sins. He said that he would be lifted up and that they would know that he truly was the Messiah, the Son of God. As he spoke, many of the Jews began to believe in him, but their belief was still full of questions. To the Jews who believed, Jesus said, "If you hold to my teaching, you are my disciples. Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." But they replied, "We are Abraham's descendants, and we've never been slaves of anyone. How can you say that we will be set free?" They were offended. To them, freedom was a political or national status. "We've never been slaves," they said. They'd forgotten Egypt and Babylon. More than that, they'd failed to recognize a deeper kind of slavery that Jesus was talking about. Jesus responded to them with these words, "Very truly, I tell you, everyone who sins is a slave to sin." And that's the key line in this passage. We know it because Jesus adds the words verily, verily, or very truly at the beginning. He's a way of saying, hey, pay attention, this is very important teaching. It's foundational. Everyone who sins, which is all of us, is a slave to sin. Now, we might not feel like slaves. We're not chained physically or beaten for disobedience. But Jesus is talking about a different kind of slavery, a slavery of the soul, a life where we constantly are performing, striving, proving ourselves, and yet never arriving. In Jesus' time, slavery was common. A slave might live in a household, but they didn't really truly belong. Even if they liked their master and their master was kind to them, their place was never really secure. If they didn't perform well enough, they could be sold off, replaced, or just discarded, like a piece of old furniture. They were always living with the fear that they could be removed at any moment. And that's what Jesus is pointing to. A life where your worth depends on your performance. Where you're always trying to earn your place, but never quite secure in it. And let's be honest, that feeling hasn't really gone away over those many, many years since Jesus was here. We still feel it. We feel it at work, where we're only as good as the last project we worked on. We feel it in relationships with our friends and our family, where we worry about whether we said the right things, did the right things, whether we're enough. We feel it with money, with health, with our image. A constant treadmill of striving, proving, hustling, just to feel secure. That feeling of constant performing but never arriving, always afraid of your place being at risk. It's familiar to many of us. At least it is to me. It's like a modern kind of slavery. And that's what Jesus came to arrest. Not just to speak truth to it, but to put evil in handcuffs and carry the whole lot to the cross. This is the greatest news ever. So what does he mean when he says everyone is a slave to sin? Maybe the best way to understand it is one of the stories Jesus told about the parable of the lost son. You know the story, I'm sure you do. The two sons, one says, "Give me my share, I'm going to go off and live the way I want to live." He walked away from home thinking that freedom meant doing whatever he wanted. But instead of finding freedom, he ended up stuck, empty, lost, alone, and eating out of a pig's trough. That's what happens when we step outside of God's good ways to do life on our own terms. When we are chasing our freedom, we end up in a place where we're not really free at all. We're disconnected, we're worn out, and we can't fix it for ourselves, no matter how hard we try. Some people respond by just giving up altogether. Why bother trying? It feels like you're in the outer of God. You're on the outer with him, and you decide it's just not worth it. He's probably distant. He's judgmental. He plays favourites. Why would I want to be near him anyway? I think a lot of people have left our church because they've felt that way. Others try everything they can to cling on and climb out of the mess, to be good enough, to be fine, to fix themselves, to clear it all up. But in the end, stuck in the same hole. Whether you're a striver or a surrenderer, whether you're running or pretending, it's all fine. Without Jesus, we're in the same pit. Still in the hole, still needing a rescue. Here's the thing. God is no snob. He's not sitting there, arms crossed, waiting for you to grovel, get your act together, pull up your socks, do what you're told. He actually wants you to come back more than you even want to be back. It's true, whether you've given up completely or whether you are trying with all your might, whether you are one of the pick-me's and you've been exhausting yourself, scrambling to get it right. The only way out is Jesus. Now, if Jesus had just said, everyone who sins is a slave to sin, he'd still be one of history's greatest teachers because that is a truth. But he didn't just leave it at that statement because that wouldn't be the greatest news ever. He goes on to say something that's even more radical is possible. A permanent, unshakable place in God's family is possible. It's not earned, it's not borrowed, and it's not temporary. It's bought at a price. Yours through grace. Jesus said, "The Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." It's not about scrambling harder or sulking louder. It's not about shouting at God or pretending, actually, I don't really care. It's about being rescued because our God is a rescuing God. That's who he is. His love for you has already been poured out in full. If the Son sets you free, you are free indeed. That's the offer. That's the news. And that's what makes it the greatest news ever. So how do we get this freedom that Jesus talks about? And why does it seem that so few people actually get to live in it? Let's go back to the moment on the cross. Earlier in this service, we were invited to change place, or I told you to change place. I didn't really invite you. But you were changed place. You were put in the place of someone else. Why? Because something cosmic happened there at the cross. Something not just personal, not just symbolic like we did, but at the cross, evil was arrested. It was handcuffed, it was dragged out into the light, it was exposed for what it was, and it was overthrown. Jesus' death was not done in secret. It was a public spectacle. Evil wasn't just defeated quietly, it was shamed openly. All the shame, all the striving, all the fear of never being enough, all the voices that say you don't belong here, nailed to the cross with him. Jesus took our place. And in doing so, he didn't just defeat evil, he crushed its authority. He removed its power from ever accusing us. So we come to the cross not because we've given up, but because we choose to give up in our own strength. We lay down our strivings to prove ourselves. We drop the baggage of old wounds and past hurts, and we let go of the magnetic pull that draws us to sin. We leave behind the need to impress, the pressure to earn our place in the world, in our families, and even in the family of God. And we surrender and we rise. Jesus once told a story about a servant who had an absolutely ridiculous amount of debt. Millions. It was totally hopeless for him. And the king forgives his debt completely, wipes the slate clean. And it was meant to change everything for this man, spark a chain reaction in his life. But the guy walks out of the throne room and he finds someone who owes him a tiny bit of money. He grabs him by the scruff of the neck and he demands it back right here, right now. That's what happens when we don't fully receive our freedom. We keep living like we owe a debt. We put the squeeze on others because we feel it ourselves. It creates a whole conga line of chokeholds, a spiraling down. But Jesus offers a better way. Jesus offers something so much better. His kind of freedom is not fragile. It doesn't depend on you earning it or holding it together. It's an up-spiraling kind of freedom. It's like a knot that starts to loosen. Have you ever had a kid come to you and say, "Can you help me untie my shoelace?" And they've tied 1,000 knots in it and you kind of start untangling one knot. And as you pull, it starts to get loose and more loose and more loose, and it just gets easier and easier as the knots go on. It looked hard at first, but it actually got simpler as it went on. The tangle starts to release. Here's the thing. You can't receive his freedom with clenched fist. If you are still pulling hard on that knot, yanking at it, it's not going to come free. You can't hold on to grace while you're still holding on to the baggage from before. And that's not just a metaphor. Jesus made it part of the prayer he taught us to pray. Forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sin against us. Because true freedom doesn't end with me, with you, or with us. It flows through us. So maybe this is the moment for some of us to get real and be honest. You've asked for forgiveness, but you're still shackled. You still feel tied. Why? Maybe because you're still holding on to the hurt that someone else has given you. Still replaying the offense in your mind over. Still silently hoping to make them pay. Jesus is gently saying, let it go. Not because they deserve it, because you're free now. You don't have to carry their weight too. It's part of the surrender. Not just bringing our failures, not just bringing our personal strivings to the foot of the cross, but bringing our bitterness, our anger, our need to stay in control. Surrendering to the people who hurt you, to the same cross where your sins are nailed. Because if you're still living in unforgiveness, then you are not walking in full freedom. So how will you respond? Are you ready to stop pretending that you're fine? I'm okay, no worries. Are you ready to stop performing and striving, or perhaps hiding? Are you ready to stop chasing security in things that will never last? Are you ready to open your hands, to receive, to believe, to step into the freedom that Jesus has already won for you? Because this is the greatest news ever. Not that just Jesus can set you free, it's that he wants to set you free, and he will. So the question is, will you let him? Will you stop trying to earn what's already paid for? Will you drop the act, the fear, the need to prove yourself? Will you forgive as you've already been forgiven? Will you walk finally and fully into the freedom that he offers? Because this is real freedom. It's deep, it's lasting, and it's yours even when everything's not right. It's yours when you have that moment of release. If the Son sets you free, you are free indeed. In a moment, we will leave this space, and I wonder what will be ringing in your ears as you leave this building, as you hop into your car, as you arrive home. Will it be, you need to do better, try harder? You're still not enough. Don't mess it up this time. Prove your worth. Don't forgive them, they don't deserve it. Or will it be, it is finished? If the Son sets you free, you are free indeed. Let that be the echo today and every day.
It is finished. If the Son sets you free, you'll be free indeed. Now it's time to respond. We've been each wearing a name tag today, not just as a way for others to know you, but as a symbol of you, of your story, your struggles, your efforts, your burdens, your sin, your striving. Jesus didn't just die for the world, he died for you. He took your name to the cross. He bore your shame. And now he offers his freedom. So in this moment, I invite you to take a quiet walk, to come and place your name here at the foot of the cross, or here at the empty tomb, or here on our table of communion, whatever's speaking to you the most this morning. Come and place your name there as a sign that Jesus has taken your place. Let that small action be a big declaration that you are surrendering your striving, that you're trusting in him as your substitute, that you're accepting the freedom that he won for you. And then take a freedom walk back to your seat. Not the same as when you came forward. Walk back knowing you've been seen. You are loved. You are forgiven. You are free. This moment is between you and Jesus. Take your time. Let it be real.